Hello, my name is Justine and I'm one of the Writing and Study Skills tutors. In this video about writing for psychology, we will be looking at some more tips to help you prepare for success in your general psychology course. So if you haven't yet watched the introduction video, you might also want to check that one out. There you will learn some basics about how psychologists think and read and write. But in this video, we will focus a bit more on writing in particular. Specifically, we will talk about some common writing assignments that you might come across in your psychology courses. And then we'll talk about the writing process you will want to follow for those written assignments. And finally, the basic structure needed for writing papers for psychology. So let's get started. First, let's look at the different types of writing you might be working on in a psychology course. Often there is a research paper or term paper assigned, and this may be a large project that isn't due until closer to the end of the semester, but you will want to be thinking about it right away. This type of writing provides a critical analysis or review of existing research, and it may also draw conclusions about that research or a particular psychological topic. So for example, you may be assigned a psychological disorder and asked to write a research paper on that topic. Now, some psychology courses may not require a large paper assignment, but several shorter written papers instead. And if you're taking a psychology course online, you might be required to submit discussion posts and reply to your peers as well. All of these are common types of written work assigned in psychology courses, but you won't necessarily encounter them all in your particular class. But do take a moment now to consider what type of writing you are currently working on or will be working on this semester. If you're not sure, take a look at your syllabus and course calendar so you're prepared for the types of writing assignments required for your specific course. Now, regardless of whether you are working on smaller paper assignments like written responses or discussion posts, or you do have a big research paper report due later in the semester, you want to, in all writing situations, follow some type of writing process. Especially for a larger paper assignment, you will need to get started right away. So here you can see the basic steps for the writing process, and you may already be somewhat familiar with the writing process, maybe that you learned in your English class. Maybe in that class you were required to submit an outline or rough draft before turning in the final draft. But in a psychology class, the instructor often doesn't assign these extra steps and only requires the final draft, but they're still important. So in those cases, it's really important for you to hold yourself accountable with your own mini deadlines so that you can follow the writing process and end with a quality final draft. So let's look at the writing process here. First, you will need to choose your topic early so that you're not rushed. And then you want to narrow it so that it's not too big for the scope of the assignment. You will then want to think critically and consider a research question if research is required. So for example, if your topic is generalized anxiety disorder, you might ask, what are the symptoms, causes, and treatment for generalized anxiety disorder? And then that will help guide your research process. After conducting any required research, you should then create an outline with a working thesis statement and the points that you will discuss in the body of the paper. Now, the outline might seem like an extra step or an unnecessary extra step, but it will help you immensely in the long run, especially with a research paper, just by breaking down a big project into smaller, more achievable tasks. And the outline also helps you to keep an image of the whole in mind, even while you're working on the parts. So once you have your outline prepared, you can begin drafting your paper into paragraphs based on the outline or the plan that you've made with the outline. When writing, of course, be sure to cite your sources if you have used research. And then the final stage of the writing process is to revise your ideas as necessary and edit for grammar and punctuation. Now, of course, this writing process is very important for those larger paper assignments, but even for the smaller ones, you should take some time to plan, draft, and revise in order to produce a quality final product. Okay. Now that we've addressed some common paper assignments and the general writing process, let's look at the basic structure of a paper. Your paper should begin with an introduction that starts with general background information to set up your topic, and then the introduction should end with your claim or thesis statement. The claim will present the main point of the paper and might also serve as a roadmap by previewing the key body points. After the introduction, the body paragraph should be clearly organized and support the claim with evidence. You should also use transitions here for good flow. And finally, the paper will be brought to a close with a conclusion paragraph. Now, a strong conclusion almost always begins by restating the claim and the evidence you have presented. The conclusion, though, is not a place to introduce new evidence or make new claims, but you might end by briefly addressing any unresolved issues or stating why the reader should care about your topic, or maybe by presenting ideas for future research. And if it is a research paper, you will, of course, follow the essay itself with a list of all your sources at the end. Remember that citing all sources is super important to avoid plagiarism. Now, the structure of your paper can certainly vary by assignment, so be sure you closely examine your assignment sheet and follow your instructor's specific directions. In some cases, they may provide the structure that they want you to follow. But if not, following this basic paper structure when writing for psychology, especially research papers or reports, will help you stay organized and set you up for a strong paper. Okay, thank you for listening to this information about writing for psychology. I hope that you've learned some helpful info that you can take forward into your class and help you with the writing process and paper structure. And do remember that if you ever need any help with your writing assignments, you can schedule a tutoring appointment with us. Good luck and happy writing.